Normal, normal, normal. You know, we've covered nearly every single type now on this series. Dragon and Fairy are all that's left, and I wanted to save those for last because they're so cool. But I also kept putting off normal because, well, it's normal. It's boring, plain, the toast sandwich of Pokemon. So I'm going to have to add a whole lot of jump fluff into this video to make it a decent length. Except I'm not, because that's a grass-type Pokemon. But at the very least, all Pokemon have inspirations, so we can still say something about these Pokemon, and maybe some of them are rather unique. Who knows? I don't yet. I'm still writing this. Actually, I've written it now. I'm voicing it. Oh man, times have changed. But still, the ultimate question of this series needs to be answered. Why are Pokemon the types that they are? What makes a normal type Pokemon normal? And which ones really are not normal? I'm Loxton, and this is every normal type Pokemon explained. But first, this video is sponsored by me! That's right, I'm sponsoring myself to show you this new video series we're doing. If you like these type videos, then you'll definitely like this series too. It's basically the same, but we're covering every single move instead. Yeah, every single Pokemon move, because we don't like taking it easy. The link is right here and in the description. Thanks so much for checking it out. Now then, let's start with categories. How the heck am I gonna categorize these? From most to least normal? As if I could figure that out case by case, so I'm just gonna wing it, starting with the first category of the normal flying Pokemon. It's the most common type combo ever. Heck, there's more normal flying Pokemon than fighting or bug Pokemon. Yeah! In this category we have Pidgey, Pidgeotto, Pidgeot, Spearow, Fearow, Doduo, Dodrio, Farfetch'd, Hoothoot, Noctowl, Swablu, Tailo, Swellow, Chatot, Starly, Staravia, Staraptor, Rufflet, Braviary, Pidove, Tranquil, Unpheasant, Fletchling, Pikipek, Trumbeak, and Toucanon. 26 normal flying Pokemon. And the reasoning for this typing couldn't be any more straightforward. They are this type because they are birds. And that's about it. But then, why not just be flying type? Well, there's actually a fun fact in this. Originally, in the beta, the type was called bird type, and the birds were bird type instead of normal flying. But eventually, Game Freak decided to make flying separate from birds specifically, as more things can fly besides birds, like dragons and bugs. So flying type was more so treated as a property. They are in the air. They are flying type. They are immune from things happening on the ground. Then the only thing left to do is to differentiate between flying things that are fiery and flying things that aren't. So flying bugs are bug flying, Moltres the firebird is fire flying, and these birds that are just birds are normal flying. And if you want to know the details about these bird Pokemon and what they are inspired by, they are all in the flying type video over here. They are all based on birds, and birds can fly. Hence the flying type. So go check out that video for the details. And with that huge chunk out of the way, we can really start digging. The Pokemon that will only be in this video of this series, the pure normal type Pokemon. What are they? And why is that normal? Let's take a look at Sentret and Furret first. You know, I just realized that I wrote this pun in the script, and I have no idea how to get it across on screen. You see, I spelled first like the beginning of Furret's name. I'm getting sidetracked! What makes these Pokemon plain as day? As we can use that explanation for most of the normal mons. Well, Sentret is a... Why did I start with Sentret? What is this thing? Sentret is the every rodent. It's a flying squirrel, tanuki, rabbit, ferret. Now then, aren't all of those animals plain? Think about those animals from the perspective of us in the West, and also those in Japan. These regions don't have many crazy animals like bird-eating spiders, tigers, platypus, giant tortoises, draconic lizards, etc. These are all unique and neat, but a squirrel-rabbit thing? Squirrels and rabbits are pretty plain, very normal, hence the typing. Sentret is just a fictional animal, and that's about all there is to it. In fact, yeah, let's make that the name of this category. Put it on screen in big white letters. Ah, yeah. Sentret then evolves into Furret, which is a giant ferret. Ah, yes. You know, let's have a speed round. I'll save the interesting ones for the end, otherwise, Let's get through this. Tauros is just a bull crossed with a bison with a cat-o'-nine-tails whiptail. It's similar to Bouffalant, but with an afro and gold rings, 70s style. Miltank is a very round cow. Snorlax is a rather uniquely designed hibernating monster bear. Sleeping is a very normal thing to do, and that's what this thing is famous for. And Munchlax, its baby form, just eats constantly. And eating is a pretty normal thing to do. Kinda gotta do it to live. Teddiursa and Ursaring are also just brown grizzly bears with elements from the sun bear and teddy bears. Zigzagoon is based on the Japanese raccoon dog, and Lanoon adds elements from the Japanese badger. Smeargle is odd, but most closely resembles a cartoonish beagle that likes to paint with its super long tail. Slackoth is a baby sloth, Vigoroth is a sloth crossed with a baboon, and Slacking is perhaps a giant ground sloth Bigfoot monster thing. And they got a whole video to themselves, right here. Check it. It's nice. I love the thumbnail. I censored a man's butt with a Pokemon butt. Skitty is a pink kitty with cattail grass for a tail, or perhaps it's a dangly cat toy. And Delcatty is just a cat with a neck pillow so it can sleep wherever and whenever it wants. Glammeow is also just a cat, but with a springy tail. Fun fact, a springtail is a type of flea. Maybe it has fleas. Well, no, in this case it's more likely a reference to some cat toys. Purugly is just an old, fat, cranky house cat. Meowth is also just a cat, though it borrows from Japanese lucky cats with its whole lucky coin thing, and its main pose. And then its evolution, Persian, is just a puma. It's a puma, it's a puma, it's a puma. Dunsparce got a whole video about it not too long ago. It's a Tsuchinoko, a plain old little Japanese cryptid. And if you really dig into it, I argue it shouldn't be normal type. Reasons are in that video. The thing it's based on is venomous, it should be poison type. Stantler is a Sika deer with Shishiodoshi for antlers, which are Japanese devices used to scare deer away. Poor Stantler can't stand its own reflection. Kecleon is a chameleon doing normal chameleon things, at least as normal as media likes to portray them. Bunnelby is a bunny, and so is Baneri, and Lopunny is too, but with bunny girl elements. Still popular in Japan today, and popular in the West in the 80s and 90s. I only bring that up because then Mega Lopunny is also inspired from the 80s and 90s, though in this case, from their aerobic workout outfits. Yungoos is just a young mongoose, and Gumshoes is a mongoose detective. Furfrou is literally just a poodle. Lillipup, Herdier, and Stoutland are all just terriers. Patrat is an in-between of a prairie dog, chipmunk, and a meerkat, and Watchog is the same but with a safety vest. Komala is a sleeping koala. What else is new? Mincino and Cincino are chinchilla feather dusters. They like to clean stuff. A normal thing. Bidoof is a gopher mixed with a mountain beaver. Rattata and Raticate are just a rat and a muskrat. And Spinda is just drunk. Look at its wobble. Also, it's like a combination of a kindling panda and a rabbit. And those were the normalest of the normies. They probably play Apex Legends. The rest of the just normal type Pokemon are a lot more interesting and take a little longer to explain individually. So, the next category is still kinda normal, but not as plain at least. Kangaskhan is a good example to start with because no amount of convincing will tell me that this is a kangaroo. What? Is it just because it has a pouch? Tasmanian devils and possums have pouches too. Are they kangaroos? Well, the other part of its name is from Genghis Khan, the Mongolian warlord. And looking at its skull structure and back plates, I guess if you squint, it looks kind of like it's wearing Mongolian laminar armor. Anywho, I'm pretty sure it's just a made-up monster dinosaur thing with one element from a kangaroo. The pouch. Audino is also pretty unique. I mean, what the heck? This Pokemon would become sound type if that ever happens, as it's all about singing and having good hearing, hence the huge elephant ears on this rabbit pig nurse with a stethoscope? Huh, very unique. Audino is for sure normal, as that's what many sound-based moves fall under. Sound is a pretty everyday normal thing. That's why Whismur, Loudred, and Exploud are normal type too. They are just monsters that have sound powers, and pull design elements from earmuffs, speakers, and a massive organ. Did you know that sound can kill you? Video about this line here. Happiny, Chansey, and Blissey are egg mother nurses. Blissey looks kinda like Nurse Joy, and they're always helping her. These Pokemon are all about high health and healing. Again, a pretty normal thing. Aipom and Ambipom are pretty normal. They are just monkeys with hands. How special. Also, Ambipom is one of my most hated Pokemon. Look at its face. But the hand on the tail thing is a reference to how many monkeys have prehensile tails that they use to grab onto branches to get around. And we can go even deeper. In Aztec mythology, there is Ahuizotl, a dog-monkey thing with a human hand on the end of its tail. Perhaps it's an inspiration. perhaps not. Lickitung and He Who Shall Not Be Named are also pretty unique in design, and they may pull from a mix of things, like the Akaname yokai, which has a long tongue and a single claw on each foot, and then that gets mixed with a generic blorpy sort of lizard, as many lizards have long tongues that they use to catch prey, such as the chameleon, though Lickitung does have some traits similar to iguanas, which may have led the designers to the iguanodon, as it shares the famous thumbs. Perhaps Lickitung is just a very fat, blorpy iguanodon. Oh, alright, I'll go over He Who Shall Not Be Named. It's even fatter. Kinda like a balloon. It also looks like it's wearing a bib because it's so fat. It looks kinda like macaroni or dandy style fashion. Think Hansel and Gretel. Now let's move on before I have to look at that for another second. Cast form is what happens when science goes too far and you give flesh to a cloud. Yeah, this is flesh. It's gross to think about. This Pokemon changes form and type based on the weather, but always defaults to its normal self. Seen here. Being normal, with its body looking like an H2O molecule crossed with a Japanese weather charm, the Teru Bozu. Ditto also changes form. That's its whole thing. It's able to transform into any other Pokemon it sees. But this is how it normally is. Its default form, its normalness. Eevee is similar in that it too can change into many different things of many different types. But again, this is its default. Nothing special about it, so it's normal. Just like Arceus. Completely normal. It's just the god of the Pokemon world, the creator deity, nothing out of the ordinary. Just normal. Though, again, its normal typing is just its default. In the anime and even in-game canon, it's all types at once. Or rather, it can switch between types whenever it pleases using its plates. But in gameplay, this would be very overpowered, so instead, you give it one plate at a time and it becomes that type for the battle. But again, normal is the default. Also, could you just imagine if in-game, Arceus was all types at once? What would that balance out to? What Pokemon would be good against a god like that? Well, I explained it all in this video here. Man, this video is just full of shameless plugs.
Calling it out doesn't make it less shameless.
But speaking of Arceus, Type Null and its evolution. Silvally were an attempt at recreating Arceus by Team Aether. Thus, it too is normal type by default, but can switch between types. Man, and it looks like an odd hodgepodge of creature parts. Poor thing. It's like an alchemical chimera. Regigigas is big. Really big. Strong too, and that's about it. It doesn't really have powers, it's just big and strong. So strong that it's said to have one time pulled the continents. But still, it's just a big giant, that's all it is. Now then, there are two more pure normal type Pokemon lines we haven't touched on, and that's because I am of the opinion that they should not be normal type, or rather, not just normal type. Let's start with the Porygon line, as I'm not sure about it. Porygon is a Pokemon created by man inside of a computer that then got a physical form. It evolves with an upgrade, and then glitches out in its final evolution. So, being made of data means they are literally ones and zeros in a computer. Binary. And binary is just where electricity is and is not in the microchips. If there's electricity in a place, it's a 1. If not, it's a 0. Repeat billions of times. So this means Porygon is literally electricity. Its Pokédex entries even say so. A Pokemon that consists entirely of programming code. So it's no wonder that it learns so many electric moves. So why isn't it electric type? It would be the most literal electric Pokemon there is. I mean, I could even settle for electric normal. As a later Pokédex entry says, it can convert its body into digital data. So then, okay, it isn't digital data always, but then that begs the question, when it is physical, what is it? Is it like hard steel? Or is it kinda plasticky? Rubbery? Latex? I guess whatever it is, it's normal, hence the normal type. But I'm pretty sure normal electric would work too. And then there's Zangoose, which is what happens when anime goes too far with a mongoose. I mean, first up, it's just an edgy mongoose, so normal type works, but I'd make it normal dark myself. Its Pokédex entries are all about how aggressive it is, and its intense, bitter rivalry with Seviper. Now that sounds like a Dark-type attitude to me, and there are other Dark-type Pokemon with way smaller, worse reasons for being Dark-type. Plus, Dark-type just fits with this edgy design. And now we've covered all of the normal flying and the just normal Pokémon. This next set of Pokémon are dual-type Pokémon that start with normal that aren't also flying. So these Pokémon are a little less normal, but still normal enough for the type, I guess. For instance, both Meloetta forms. One is normal Psychic and the other is normal Fighting. She has these types because she does have Psychic and Fighting abilities, but she's more so about song and dance. And normal is the stand-in sound type. So there, that's the same reasoning for the singing pudding balloons that are Igglybuff, Jigglypuff, and Wigglytuff. Normal sound powers. Azurill is a cute as heck mouse thing, and it's normal fairy. When it evolves, it swaps its normal for water type, so I assume the idea here is that Azurill can't swim very well, so it's not water type yet. It still needs to learn. I imagine it's hard to swim without fins or arms. And if you take a watery Pokemon and remove the waterness from it, it's just normal. Bidoof also gains water when evolving. As a Bibarel, it is now normal water type. Easy to see, as its body is still relatively the same. So the normal typing here is a good example of what I mean when I say, it's still normal, just not as normal. As now it is able to swim super well and use some water moves. It has a mastery over water, and it controls the flow of rivers with its dams because it's a beaver. It has a boring, normal beaver body. It's just like Deerling and Sawsbuck. I mean, look at them. They are just normal deer, but with plants growing on them, so they are normal grass. Girafarig is also just a giraffe crossed with an okapi, so it has a super normal body, but it also happens to have a few psychic powers. So, normal psychic. Same with Oranguru. It's a regular everyday orangutan. It just happens to also have psychic powers. Diggersby is a plain, normal rabbit, but it also has excavator ears that let it dig super fast, so it gained the ground type. And Stuffle and Beware are a stuffed red panda, and a red panda mascot suit guy. They have normal, cuddly, soft, typical bodies, but they also happen to be super strong and know how to fight well. So, normal fighting type. Drampa, though, is a bit weird. Normal dragon? I mean, what's normal about being a dragon? I can't use the same logic as before. Oh, it's got a normal body, so it's normal type. Because yeah, I guess it has a normal body for a dragon, so it's a dragon's body. This dragon has a dragon's body because it's a dragon. What's so normal about this when there are other dragony Pokemon that are just dragon type? Is it because it's a grandpa? Is it the fluff? Loads of normal type Pokemon are just fluffy animal things, so maybe. Also, maybe the origin will help? It's based on Zhulong, a Chinese serpentine dragon that invented day and night cycles and has the head of an old man. Now, I don't know what you think, but I think that's anything but normal. Is this another not normal Pokemon? Do its Pokedex entries say anything? Oh, it likes to play with and protect kids? Geez, it's gonna have its comments disabled. That joke's gonna get dated. Does it learn a ton of normal type moves? I mean, it does learn plenty, but in my comparisons, there were loads of other dragon-type Pokemon that learned the same number of normal-type moves. Sometimes plenty more. So, is there a good reason for Drampa being normal-type? No! But that doesn't mean there isn't a reason. It's just not a good reason. I think we all hear what you're trying to say, Game Freak. You made Drampa normal because even you think that normal-type Pokemon are boring, right? That must be it. It's an old, boring man. Dragon. It's lame, so it's normal. You're so rude to my sweet, sweet Skitty. Hashtag not all normals. But really though, Drampa's reasoning may be just that. Or perhaps in its origin, it's the dragon that created day and night cycles and like, day and night's very normal, eh? Well no. Last category, secondary normal Pokemon. So Pokemon who are dual typed with the second type being normal. So they are even less normal than the previous group. And there's only 3 lines to cover. First we have Alolan, Rattata, and Raticate. Same normal type reasoning as their mainland forms, meaning it's because it's a rat and a muskrat, but these ones have turned into little thieves that rummage and ruin in the night, and bring food to their gluttonous mob boss. The darkness has taken over, thus the dark type on top of their normalness. Next is Litleo and Pyroar. They are fire-breathing lions, and that's all there is to it. They breathe fire, so fire type. But otherwise, they are just lions. They have normal lion bodies. They aren't like the other mammalian fire-type Pokemon that have fire literally sticking out, like Quilava and Infernape. They are just lions, with fire sacs on the inside, so their outside body is normal. And lastly, Helioptile and Heliolisk, electric normal. So again, the normal here is in relation to its body. They are just lizards, a combination of the frilled neck lizard, a basilisk, and a spotted salamander. Fun fact, spotted salamanders are able to photosynthesize, meaning they get energy from the sunlight, which falls in line with these solar panel Pokemon. They charge their internal batteries this way, which means they aren't able to just generate their own electricity like most other electric Pokemon do. They have to get it from somewhere else, in this case, the sun. So by default then, perhaps their bodies are just normal. They just happen to also be able to manipulate electricity. Thus, electric normal. And those were the best explanations I could come up with. Anyway, so did I miss anything? Got any cool things to add? You let me know down below, and while you're down there, check out that series I mentioned that's all about Pokemon moves. I just know you're gonna love it. We have 2 episodes of it out already. Steel and Fighting. I particularly love the Fighting type one. Thank you all, and until next time, never stop using your noggin.